On my kicker tonight, we should no longer ignore the very loud alarm bells from Kenya's horticultural sector. On Valentine's Day last Tuesday, a day full of symbolism on matters flowers, the bells rang particularly loud. The Kenya Flower Council shared some very grim statistics that effectively wiped off that rosy image often painted of the country's flower sector. The council reported that in the last 2 years alone, 8 flower companies operating in the country closed shop. Each of the 8 cited the high cost of doing business as the reason for folding up. They simply could not cope with the cost of doing business in Kenya. For a sector that accounts for over 4 million jobs, closure of one company should cause alarm, and closure of 8 should be considered a crisis of very serious proportions. This especially because the warning by the Kenya Flower Council that even more flower firms could join the list of those closing shop. For some time now, horticulture has enjoyed a place of pride in Kenya's export charts. Currently, Kenyan exports, according to the Kenya Flower Council CEO Clement Tulezi, account for over 40% of flowers consumed in Europe. Earnings in the horticultural sector rose to 158 billion Kenya shillings in 2021, the country having exported over 200,000 tons of flowers. But proverbially, roses come with thorns. The Flower Council reports that growers in the sector pay a minimum of 45 levies every year. Yes, 45 levies. Then there is the cost of freight that literally prices Kenya out in a region it ought to lead and dominate. While the cost of freight per kilo in Ethiopia is just $1.5, the cost of freight in Kenya is virtually double at $2.9. The freight charges in Tanzania stand at $2.2, making Kenya the most expensive country when it comes to the cost of freight. Additionally, the Flower Council laments that exporters in the sector are owed up to 7 years in VAT refund arrears to the tune of 15 billion Kenya shillings. VAT refunds aside, the one consistent message from the Kenya Flower Council is that the cost of doing business in Kenya can be unbearable. And other than taxes, remember the 45 levies, there is the cost of electricity that is becoming insane even for individual single bulb lighting consumers. Here this pain is no longer a sector-specific burden. And projections going forward do not look encouraging, with the Ministry of Energy indicating that electricity prices will go up. Now, it's really basic. When investors fail to cope with the costs of running their business, then they'll have little option but to close shop. Then follows the ripple effect, a decline in tax revenues, loss of jobs, and an increase of poverty. This is why I feel the closure of business by 8 flower companies in a space of 2 years is a crisis that must attract the urgent attention of authorities. 8 is 8 too many for a sector that supports over 4 million livelihoods. And that indeed was a Valentine of thorns for Kenya's horticulture sector. That is my kicker.